guess one of the most confusing, I guess is the word to use, situations when I came back into doing national and international training right after the Sarbanes-Oxley, after WorldCom, all of the Enron, all the kinds of scandals that had people looking to do some kind of verification of an internal control framework. And when I went to the IA, I'd been on staff in the 80s and was a consultant in part of the 90s. Then I left and was an executive in different control capacities. I was a policy director for the state, a consultant for a lot of their situations, and actually one of my colleagues and I, we created the state's performance appraisal system for employees. So I'd consistently used a model that we created, which was for the state. We created one that was for performance budgeting. We had agencies and whether they were legislative or executive order created agency to create and redo their mission statement. Everything then tied mission, vision, values, goals, and objectives, all the way down to sub-objectives, all the way down to task measurements for employees. So I was just kind of second nature. That's what everything hinged on, the mission, everything. And so when I went back and interviewed with Margie Poposky at the time, and she said, "Can you instruct COSO?" And I said, "Well, sure I can, but why?" And she was like, "Nobody knows it." And that flabbergasted me because that thing came out in the 80s. The original work, the publication came out in 92, and I just took for granted that it was being used for years. But anyway, long story short, when I started doing the seminars and I would do the organizational process, then I would ask, how many of you in here know your organization's mission? I was amazed at the silence. No one. No one. I mean, if it was a diverse group from different organizations and backgrounds, I would expect someone in there would know the mission. Then, when I go into in-house seminars and would ask the same question, I'd either get answers that were perplexing or no one knew. I was in I won't mention the company, I don't do that, but I was in a Fortune 100 company, and they were really staffed up with a lot of very bright MBA types, 20s, 30s year olds who were going across the nation and the globe, helping them document and formalize their control framework so that they could do the attestation according to SOX and so forth. I was doing the session, and I opened with this part of the session with my usual question: does anybody know your organization's mission? And there was an auditor, probably late 60s, said, "Yeah." And I said, "What is the mission then?" He said, "To make money for the stockholders." And I said, "No, what is your mission statement?" And he very hardly answered, "Make money for the stockholders." And I said, no, I understand that's a major purpose for what you do, but what is your mission statement? And he yelled, "Make money for the stockholders, gee, did." And the room got very, very, very quiet. And there was a retired VP of finance that had come back to oversee this process, the SOX process. And I just looked at him and very calmly said, "If that is your organization's mission, then nothing I have to say for the rest of the day or tomorrow," it was a 2-day session, "has any meaning." And he just turned red in the face. He said, "That's not our mission." And I looked at him and said, "But what is it?" He said, "I don't remember." And that was amazing because we took a break, and he immediately said, "I think we've wasted a year of work." I said, "No, anything done on internal control is not wasted, but how is it you missed this?" And he said, "We got so caught up in risk and chasing down processes that we forgot to tie it mission, vision, values, goals, and objectives." So this one was really odd because in the break room was on their board the mission statement. So I came back after the break, read it aloud, and people were perplexed. "Where'd you get that?" And I said, "In there in your break room." So, sometimes the most vital information is right out in front of us and we don't see it. In that session, the first thing we did, I talked with this executive, and we decided to start with a stakeholder exercise, move from stakeholder exercise to what would be values for the stakeholders, and move all the way through the process, mainly so that these new, vibrant, excited auditors could get a clue what they really should be focusing on when we talk about internal control, and we talk about risk, and we talk about objectives, accomplishments, sub-objectives that tie up into higher level objectives that tie into entity-wide objectives that eventually tie into the goals that support the mission. So you can have a stable of very bright people and some very seasoned individuals, but if you forget mission, you're just kind of guessworking on risk levels.